Hi. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Kevin Slonka, and I am the head of the Computer Science program at Pennsylvania Highlands Community College. This video is basically a recap of what we spoke about during our ACE disciplinary meeting held on Thursday, October 16th, 2014. 5 items were addressed. CIT 100, Microcomputer Applications, since that is the course that most of you teach. Course Assessment, Grade Entry, Screencasts, and Microsoft Tools for Educators. So let's go over CIT 100 first. The book that we use on campus, as you can see right now on the video, is Exploring Microsoft Office 2013, which is by Grauer. Now, while we would appreciate if everybody used the exact same book as us, we realize that not every school can purchase new copies of the book every year or every other year whenever the book changes. So as long as you have a book that covers the same content as we cover in class, then that is completely fine. The content that is covered in our CIT 100 class is Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, but before we get into those 3 applications, there is also a chapter or 2 on the basic navigation and use of Microsoft Windows. Now, as usual, if you want to teach more than what we have in our syllabus, that is perfect. You have way more time with your students than we do in a typical 15-week class. So if you want to go above and beyond what is listed in our syllabus, that is wonderful. Now, one thing that should be pointed out, the Grauer book is an updated book for this year, which also means that it talks about Windows 8 as the operating system. Now, on campus, we have not upgraded to Windows 8, and we probably won't for some time, if at all, because many corporations also are choosing to not update to Windows 8. So we are remaining with Windows 7. Now, again, whatever you have in your classroom, whether it's Windows 7 or Windows 8, will work as long as the concepts that are covered in the syllabus or the concepts that are listed in the syllabus are still covered. Now, where do you get to see what those concepts are? In the syllabus, there is a section called the expected learning outcomes. That is the list of what you have to teach for this class. As I said before a couple times, if you want to go above and beyond, that's wonderful, but you have to teach at least what is listed in the expected learning outcomes. So learning outcome 1 is all about the Windows environment. Learning outcome 2 is about using the internet as a search engine to locate needed data, text, graphics to be able to input into your Microsoft Office applications. So the first 2 learning outcomes are specifically about using Windows and browsing the internet. Learning outcome 3 is about Microsoft Word and Excel and the specific things that your students will need to know about those 2 applications. And learning outcome 4 is about Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, specifically about PowerPoint, if you have taught our CIT 100 class in the past, about 2 or so years ago, students were not required to actually stand up in front of the class and give a presentation that goes along with their final PowerPoint project. But as of last year, if you've checked the new syllabus, we have added as the last week of class before the PowerPoint exam, the students will have to create a PowerPoint project and stand up in front of the class and give it as a presentation. This was actually a suggestion by many of our adjunct faculty who see that the students, because they will have to take a public speaking class in the future, probably would want some practice in a class where the public speaking aspect isn't as heavily weighted as it would be in a public speaking class. So this edition of the in-class presentation for PowerPoint was just to give the students some extra practice in speaking in front of a class before they actually have to take the public speaking course. The next thing that we'll go over is course assessment. Now, we have those learning outcomes for every course. And every year, we have to assess the courses that we teach, the assignments that we give, the grades that our students got. Basically, we need to figure out some way of determining whether or not the students learned what we wanted them to learn in our classes. This year, for CIT 100, the learning outcome that we're going to be assessing is Learning Outcome 3, specifically Microsoft Word. So whenever we ask you to provide us data for assessment, this is something new that we're going to be doing for our ACE faculty. We've done it on campus for a very long time, but now we're going to be reaching out to our ACE faculty to also provide us data for assessment purposes. Now, here are the things that you're going to see on screen that you would need to provide us whenever we ask you for this assessment material. So we are going to need to know the course number and the course section that you are teaching. So for instance, this might be CIT 100.02, might be your section. For the Microsoft Word assessment, which is what CIT 100 is being assessed this year, we're going to need your Word exam materials. So any extra instructions that you gave the students, a blank copy of the exam that you gave the students, and then we're also going to need some finished copies of the exam. So typically, we like to have on our records one from each end of the spectrum and one in the middle. So we would ask you to give us a student exam where the student got an A, one student exam where the student got a C, and one student exam where the student failed, if you have any of those available. Basically, we're just trying to see how the tester scored, how well the students are doing, and hopefully see if there are any room for improvements in the class. In addition to the exams that we ask you for, we also ask for the number of students in your class. Now, this is for each section. So if you happen to teach 2 CIT 100 classes, we would need to have your data split up into 2 sections. So the number of students in each section, and we would also need to know how many students achieved our baseline score of 70% or higher. So for instance, if you had 20 students in your class and 17 of them scored a 70% or higher, we would need to know that in your section, CIT 100.02, 17 out of 20 students achieved a score of 70% or higher. Now, if you had any students who didn't achieve 70% or higher, please provide us with some reasons as to why they didn't achieve that score. Maybe they never showed up to class, maybe they never turned in their work. Basically, we're just looking to see if this is the fault of our curriculum, if it's something we can change, or if this was something that had the student worked a little harder, they could have achieved a passing score. So concise reasons as to why the students who didn't pass. And then if you think that the reasons those students didn't pass were because of a failure in the course itself, give some reasons or some suggestions as to what could be fixed in order to make the course better so we can have a higher student success rate. The next thing we're going to talk about is grade entry. Now, many of you have already been doing this, but we do have a PDF on MyPeak. If you click on the ACE Technology section, we have a PDF that goes over grade entry with screenshots for each section. So I just wanted to go over that PDF with you in case this is your first time submitting grades for an ACE course, so that you are aware of what you need to do when it comes the end of the year and you are ready to submit your grades. So first you're going to go to the MyPeak website, my.pennhighlands.edu, and you'll log in with your username and password. In the middle of the page, along the top row, you will see a tab called ACE. go ahead and click on that tab. Now, because you have a faculty account, the page that you see on the right-hand side will list your courses that you are teaching as part of the ACE program this year. So what you would want to do, there is a link right above the list of courses called View Details. Click on that link and that would show you an extra filter box that you'll need to change some options in. So whenever you click the View Details link, what you'll then see is a drop-down box for the term. Now, there are many terms in that list. You will be looking for the ones labeled ACE term. So if you're teaching a fall ACE class, a full year ACE class, or a spring ACE class, you will see ones listed as, for example, Fall 2003 ACE fall term. So before you are ready to enter your grades, you're going to have to make sure you pick the correct term and you click search so that your appropriate courses appear in the list. Some of you are teaching many courses over many different terms, so we want to make sure that you select the right course in the right term before you attempt to enter any grades. Now, once you do that, you will see the narrowed down list of just the courses you are teaching in that term. There is a nice little drop-down list under the heading Go Directly To. And when you click that, you'll see some items such as course details, class list, and grade entry. You will want to select grade entry. Now, when you do that, you will be presented with a list of all of your students, and for each one a drop-down box with the grades A, B, C, D, and F. Now, keep in mind, whenever you are entering grades for ACE courses, our grading scale may be different than your grading scale at your high school. So you may operate on the 93 to 100% is an A, 85 to 92 is a B, but we at Penn Highlands go every 10%. So 90 to 100 is A, 80 to 89 is a B, and so on. It is completely possible that your students get a grade of a B in your high school for the class because they achieved a 91%. But the grade you would enter in on MyPeak for the Penn Highlands grade would be an A, because 91% falls within the 90 to 100 range, and we consider that an A. So keep in mind when you're entering grades that you may have discrepancies between the grades at your high school and the grades you enter on MyPeak for the Penn Highlands grade. So once you do that, there is a nice little submit button, and after you click that, it will take a few seconds before the grades are saved, and a small blue box will pop up that say that your grades were successfully updated. Once you see that nice little blue box, then you are assured that your grades have been entered, and everything you need to do as far as turning in grades for that particular course is complete. The next thing on our list was something that we sometimes use to help out students, especially those students who may sit in the back of the class and have a hard time seeing the projection screen. Now, not everybody has high-definition projectors. Sometimes the bulbs are wearing out, so the screen isn't that bright. And even if you do have good projectors, the students who sit in the far back of the room, sometimes it's still hard to read the screen. So what we recommend to people is that for certain sections, you don't have to do this for everything, but for certain sections where you think the students might be having difficulty, if there are a lot of questions during this section during class, you may want to create a screencast of how to accomplish this skill. Now, the tool that we recommend is a free screencast tool called Cam Studio. And you can find that and download it at camstudio.org. That's camstudio.org. Now, this tool lets you record your screen, and it also lets you do things like add voiceover. So if there is something, say, a certain formula in Microsoft Excel that your students are having trouble with, Later after class, maybe during your prep period, you can open up Cam Studio and record just the section of your screen that Excel is in and explain to them how to do this formula, why it's useful, anything that you would have explained during class, or some extra things that you think might help the student better understand this topic. And then when you're done with that, you can save the video, post it on YouTube or any internal server that you might have to disseminate videos and other information. But the whole point of making screencasts for certain items, certain skills, is just so the students have a way to go back and relearn or revisit specific topics, especially ones that are more difficult, the more advanced topics. So again, you don't have to do this for everything, but if it's something extra that you didn't get to in class, you would be able to make a video of that skill and post it. Or if it's something the students were having trouble with in class, make a video of it, add some extra explanation, and give it to the students so that on their own time they can watch the video, do some practice, and hopefully gain some more mastery over that specific skill. The last item we went over, we just went over this quickly, and that is the Microsoft Educator Tools website. Now you're seeing the web address appear on your screen. And basically, all we mention for this is that there are a lot of tools out there, a lot of free tools that Microsoft offers for teachers who teach technology classes. There is a resources tab on this site, and under there you would see things like free applications that the students can download and use, free guides and tutorials. Some of the guides, like accessibility in the classroom, some extra critical thinking exercises, how to incorporate Skype in the classroom. Maybe you have some students who are out with the flu and they would still like to participate in class. You may be able to use Skype to bring them into the classroom while they're home. There are many, many free guides out there, as well as some extra tutorials, some extra webinars, and also a very long list of learning activities, things that you can do with your students in class to increase their skill set and maybe let them gain some mastery over certain topics. So just check out the Microsoft Educator Tools website. See what all is out there. You don't have to use anything from there, but if you see something that's interesting, it's all free. And it's a great resource to be able to add some extra things in your class and give your students some extra practice with the skills that you're covering. So those were the 5 topics that we covered in our ACE discipline meeting. As usual, everything that I mentioned during this video can be found on the ACE Technology website, which is found on MyPeak. I want to sincerely thank each and every one of you for teaching our ACE courses. You have a lot of smart students, and the earlier we can introduce them to a college education and its benefits, the better we can help them have a brighter future. So sincerely, thank you for teaching our courses. We really appreciate all of the hard work you do. If you have any questions about anything I covered during this video, or if you have any questions about the computer science program at Penn Highlands, the CICT program, or any questions in general on ACE, feel free to contact me. My email address is appearing on the screen now, kslonka@pennhighlands.edu. Thank you again, and have a wonderful school year.